touch.
People always talk about my come up, cause I've been going all every summer. Pussy wanna talk about numbers, but your manager buying swipe show, so by me ain't nobody out now that can touch us.
What's up, y'all? It's Screw the Rules Yugi here, and I got my boy Connor White, bro. Connor White.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Connor came over here to the Indianapolis Regional, and Connor, what did you do, bro?
I got 11th place with my Voiceless Voice deck. I played no hand traps in it.
No hand traps?
Yeah,
What?
hand traps.
Bro, you're like the only Voiceless deck that has no hand traps.
Yeah, I played a ton of dueling book, and I realized that it's just better off without it, like a Death Speed deck. You just need more engine, and it's better off with this deck because you could use a board breaker and then set up an Omni Negate, and I figured that was the best way to play the deck.
Also, what were your matchups at the Indianapolis Regional, man?
Yeah, so actually it was fairly diverse. After round 1, which is a bit odd, I played Dynamorphia. The guy was actually super nice. Round 2, I played Cash. I just want to remind you, throughout the day, part of the reason why I had success is a lot of decks were breaking on hand traps throughout the day.
Oh,
Part of the
okay,
reason why I
okay.
chose to play so much non-engine, at least trying to top 8, of course, and I realized that was the problem in this format, so I played around that all day by playing a ton of non-engine. So like about every other round or every other 2 rounds, I would get a free game out of my opponents because they would just brick on their own deck. Round 3 was Snake Guy, he was a local player, Eric Arias.
Okay,
round
shouts
4
to
was a
Eric.
mirror match. Round 5, I played Christian Reina. This is my first loss. He's probably like the best player right now, so
Yeah.
I'm not losing to him. He drew Droplet onto me when I thought I drew an unplayable hand had he drawn a hand trap. But he didn't draw any hand traps, he drew full combo and Droplet, which ended up being even better versus my deck because I would have been able to play around 1 hand trap. And then round 6, I played another Snake Guy match. I 2-0'd that guy, actually, he was really bad. And then round 7, I played David Tucker, who actually got top 4. He's another local player.
Congrats to David.
Yeah, he was really awesome. He drew Reborn Tango on me 3 games in a row in a 50-card deck.
I was gonna say that pile.
Yeah, and then round 8, I actually played another friend of mine who was playing Ubel. His name was Cordero. You all might know him. I would say like maybe 3 of my 4 matches, I 2-0'd people, and it was just because they were completely unprepared for my deck.
Yeah, dude, your deck had all gas, no hand traps.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'll explain like more theory and ratio, part of the ratios as we go on. But this deck is 40 cards, and so briefly we're gonna have the 3 Voices main engine card, which is gonna be low. Then we have the 3 Saphira. We won't go too much into detail on these cards, but perhaps more so on my non-engine. So these are the original monsters here. And then we have the next non-engine, which was 3 Diviner and the Trias Hierarcha.
Sheesh, you got the ultis, Connor.
Yeah, I love my light cards. I'm a light card
Beautiful.
fanatic. This card was really awesome because I also play Brand Infusion in the deck. And this was another 1-card starter alongside low. I tried to maximize on all the 1-card starters, right? Because we wanted to play around all the hand traps.
Right.
So that's why I played a ton of engine. And this card also plays really well with Brand Infusion, which of course we're also playing the deck. So that way you can just have an even higher ceiling. So even if they hand trap this, you can still Brand Infusion this card out of the deck.
And did anyone see Brand Infusion like coming after?
No, honestly not, because part of the reason what I did is my deck is 22 spells and 17 monsters and 1 trap. So my deck is all power spells, and so what I did initially was use Brand Infusion if I draw it, is the first card because they have to ash it. So that means all of my searching effects for the rest of the turn are gonna resolve because they don't know you're on Voiceless quite yet. So if they only draw 1 hand trap and you draw Brand Infusion and they draw ash, like you're pretty much gonna win, all right? Because you're gonna go full combo.
Dude, you got him. Literally got him.
Yeah, it was simple.
No, it's like, come that smoke screen.
No, yeah, exactly. And then the one fallen Albaz, it was really funny. Actually, I revealed this off of Prosperity versus a Voiceless player, and then I just fused with their monster. It was awesome. Yeah, off of the Prosperity, just seeing the look on their face. Next are the Ritual Monsters. So I play a high count of Ritual Monsters, and I honestly would have played 3 Skull Guardian. Had I had the space, but I just didn't because I just knew I needed to play Call by the Grave.
Gotcha.
And so here are the 2 Skull Guardian, the 2 Ceravis, and the Odd Eyes Punjum Graph Dragon. To me, these are all staple. This guy is kind of optional, but I just think he's stable because he adds a really important layer to the deck, where during the end phase, you can add a ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and that's really important for when you're resolving these monsters on your turn, Saphira, or your simple ritual spell, to keep those in graveyard for their opponent's turn, so that way you have the extra layer of protection. In addition to that, he's also going to return yourself to the hand, and so what that means is when you have the trap card and the ritual spell out, you get you the free ritual spell, and that allows you to resolve the trap card in the opponent's turn for free to either summon a low, to place Blessing to ritual summon this monster, to continue playing on the opponent's turn, or like I said, allow you to summon a monster from the deck potentially, like Ceravis, to continue to float into these monsters if they somehow out your Skull Guardian.
Gotcha,
So he's really, to me, he's very, very important. And then obviously for Branded, which is a bad matchup, the mirror match, which can be something difficult, to be honest with you. Like obviously if they set up an Omni Negate on target one, you can't like Radiance your way through that or anything like that. You kind of have to use extra deck monsters, and that's gonna be really difficult when they have an Omni Negate, obviously, right? So this card's really good in the mirror match to have, being able to negate their spell cards, and even the ritual spell when they go ritual spell activation, it's actually really strong to negate that.
Did he put in a lot of work while you were playing at the regional?
Yes, the fact where you can search him off of him or Saphira, because that's another way to tutor him, to grab the ritual spell, to have it in hand. That is, to me, the most primary important. That's the reason to play him. It's not so much summoning him is always nice, especially versus Tenpai. But honestly, setting up these with your continuous spells and traps and extra deck monsters, that should be more than enough to beat the Tenpai matchup. But the fact that end phase effect that I keep telling you about, that is honestly the main reason I play him, and it's because I need to keep the spell and trap the card engrave, the ritual spells. You need to not use the Omni Negate as much as possible, you know what I mean? And it's by having an extra layer and the one in hand to make it so you can resolve the trap for free and stuff like that, it makes the deck that more impervious to stuff.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep, so that's the Pendulum Graph thing. Next are the spell cards, so these will be the Voiceless spells right here. So we do 3 of the Barrier, 1 of the Blessing, and then 2 of the Prayers. I honestly tried cutting this card one time, believe it or not. Well, yeah, because,
the one of.
Yeah, this card did come in clutch for me at one point. Versus the Cashier matchup, he tried to hide behind Shifter. He shifted me 3 games in a row. Unfortunately, like I said, like that would have worked had I played hand traps, right? Because I did, like, he would have shifted me. I would have had like 2 hand traps.
Right.
One of 2 probably wouldn't be playable under Shifter because they have to go to the graveyard. And so I drew this and Branded Fusion. And so what I did was I went Branded Fusion, resolve to banish the materials, and then you go Blessing, grab back the monster that you banished with this, and then it allowed me to continue to full combo him. And so then, so the Cashier monster, like I said, and this is the thing about the day, right? So imagine that we went to game 3, but game 1 he didn't draw anything. He drew hand traps, so that was a free win.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So your theory's working out,
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And then typically also in decks that play Shifter, Shifter's usually the best card in the deck. So if Shifter doesn't work, you're probably gonna win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as long as you're able to play through the Shifter and a Shifter deck, going first, of course, they're probably going to lose the matchup because Shifter didn't work, and that's like their main card. That's the reason why they're playing the deck, essentially.
Gotcha.
Next are 3 more. These are like technically crawled by the graves, in my opinion. They also produce bodies, right? So these allow you to play through hand traps. The fact that they produce bodies is also like a cherries on top of, so to speak, right? Because this allows you to dump ritual monsters or any voiceless monster that you can add off of Blessing back. It also allows you to dump cards to continue playing the game, such as like if they hand trap your Diviner to send Trias Hierarcha, or you can even send Saphira from the grave to ritual summon, or you can dump Blow to the grave to recur itself when you perform a ritual.
Right, okay. Oh, wow. That
Yeah,
goes
and
really
then in that case, also, it goes even further beyond that interaction, the dumping from grave. So, like, let's say you do resolve this card to the point where you summon a Mirror Jade. Now, when you go to summon low, that's another way for it to protect or to resolve your low, because it's gonna, if they Veiler or Imperm were the only cards that can interact with this card, you can Mirror Jade your own low and banish it in order to continue resolving the effect now.
Oh,
you know what
okay.
I mean? Yeah, so it gives you also another layer on top of it if they don't have Ash Blossom to stop this card. So when you go into your Voiceless engine, that you can also continue to play through those hand traps through the Branded Fusion route, right?
Yeah,
and so
I kind of guarantee it's going through.
Exactly, and like you might be like, oh, what sucks to banish your own monster with Branded Fusion? That's not even it. Like literally, we're just trying to play the game. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, we get it, but it's like, listen, they just probably wasted 1 to 2 hand traps, and we're gonna still set up the Omni Negate. We're just trying to play the game. If we get to resolve Mirror Jade on their turn to banish a monster, it's a cherries on top of, like I said.
Gotcha.
I just brought up this card to you.
I like it. I like it.
Yep, next are more spell cards, right? So like I mentioned, these are all power spells, right? So I'll just kind of play these all out at once because these are similar, right? So 3 Prosperity, of course. Part of the reason also what made my deck really broken too is because I'm able to play Prosperity and Board Breakers, right? So that allows me to dig into my deck and play more non-engine like I keep telling you about. But that allows me to dig into my deck for these 6 cards, right? So that way I can dismantle their board going second, right? So Branded Fusion also, in addition to being like a cross-out card going first, it also, in my opinion, doubles as a board breaker going second.
Definitely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna summon a Mirror Jade on them, and it's gonna force some type of interaction out of them. If they can't let you just fully resolve the card to the point where you get a Mirror Jade, because they're gonna minus, like you're gonna banish a monster, and then you're gonna attack another one. And then, like, you see where that goes, where it can get out of hand pretty quick. And then not only that, like, while Mirror Jade's attempting to do that as a board breaking card, you're dumping those light monsters into your graveyard, like I mentioned, to set up the Voiceless cards after you do that, right? So anyways, back to these, right? So Prosperity digs for these 6 cards, which were probably the best cards in my deck all weekend, right? Because these cards were good going first or second, technically, because if they hand trap you, it was insanely broken if they hand trap you and you resolve engine because you ripped their, like, their card, and then you have a Skull Guardian negate, you know what I mean? So not only do you look at their hand, know what to negate, right? Or like you rip their best card and then negate their draw, so to speak, because you know that like the other cards in their hand might be dead or unplayable. So like this card in that case was like insanely broken, you know, especially where they try to hand trap you, right? Where they even draw 2 hand traps, right? And there's been times where people try to even hand trap me 3 times at the event, and it just wasn't enough because I draw Branded Fusion, Diviner, you see what I mean? And like I draw, yeah, exactly. I draw all of it, and I go to rip a card after hand. After that, it's over with. And then obviously these cards are just obviously like the best part about going second, right? Is it allows you to trade up your spells and your traps and your monsters into their board for free negates.
Right.
And especially what's good too is in the Snake Eye matchup, which is like hypothetically what we're looking to beat. We did play 3 of them this weekend. These cards are better, right? Because what you can do is they're gonna try and sit on bow. So if you happen to draw both of these, it's crazy because they're gonna go Flying Birch, push up, you'll drop with that, and then you go Talents, take their bow, and it's over from there.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over from there. Yeah, they'll lose instantly from that because you're gonna negate Princess and you can negate a hand trap, and that's if you need to negate Princess because that targets. So when you set up your Voiceless engine, all your guys are non-targetable. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
bow will end up it'll end up GGing them if you get to take it. And then pre-prep obviously adds like the other monsters. I know I didn't mention too much about that card, but I'm assuming like his card's more so self-explanatory at this point. Everyone knows. One thing that's really important also is that I maybe didn't tell you, but hopefully you'll remember this now moving forward. Saphira and the Ritual Spell can actually grab monsters from the graveyard as well. So they don't actually grab only from decks. So you can actually play under Droll and Lockbird if you do a Branded Fusion and have Saphira in hand, because what you can do is you can dump the Ritual monster from your deck with Branded Fusion and then resolve Saphira to grab it back from the graveyard to your hand. Yeah, so that also plays around Droll and Lockbird. Very important to know those interactions, right? Because like I said, playing around all the hand traps and then setting up the Omni-Gate is really important. Not all the players know how to play around the hand traps.
Right.
Another really important thing to do, and then also there's Called by the Grave. We already
He's the best one up.
And then one thing that's really important is that I tend to do first all weekend is I don't place Barrier, I place the Trap card. The Trap card to me is actually the most important continuous spell or trap. Why? Because the non-targeting comes in the form of protection from Saravis, which is a searchable card after we get to Skull Garden.
Right.
So Barrier is good, yeah, but the Trap card's better because it lets you play once on your turn and also once on the opponent's turn. Right. Again, this might be a win more thing, but it's like also the Trap becomes insanely broken once you start to continue to cycle it over and over. The popping effect with Blessing, where you can add back. Every time I resolve that loop this weekend, I won the game every single time. Yeah, it's almost
You're sitting good.
You instantly win for free in that case. Also, like I mentioned, this card's gonna keep summoning resources or searching, and having follow up with this deck's important because there's gonna be times where they will break your board, but they can't take everything from you. They can't take all the spell traps. They can't take your resources in hand, and then this card's gonna allow you to do that, right? Because they can't take your resources in hand because a lot of your stuff bounces to hand to resolve, right? So like this will bounce to hand, or this level 8 monster will bounce to hand. Or you'll get the free searches once again on the following turn through this card or through this card right here. You already know which one, the other one, Blessing, right?
Right.
And then this card also, like I mentioned with the Pendulum Graph, I think I mentioned that earlier, but that interaction, make sure you guys play with that interaction because that's gonna win you a lot more games, trust me. Because they're gonna go droplet and stuff or trade up into your Skull Guardian, and it's important that you don't negate the first cards and you have the trap active to go ahead and go into Saravis to go summon Skull Guardian after that. But that's enough about the main deck. Let's get to the extra.
All right, Connor. Count for the main deck?
40 always.
There we go.
And then 15 extra deck always too. And then so rank ones. I'll go a little bit faster, but there's one thing I did change from the regional. In this deck list, it's only one extra deck monster, and that's because the deck's better with it like this. So I did change one card, but I was gonna say if you were to play this deck list, play it like with this one card difference, right, which I'll explain. So we have the one Lina right here, and then we have the one Dark Charmer. These are just, for the mirror match. This didn't come up too often, but it does come up sometimes when they have Valor in order to get a free SP Knight. But yeah, this came up a lot to take their extra deck monsters. And then of course we have the one SP Little Knight, and then we have the one IP Masquerena, and then we have 2 Dynamondos. So I only played one at the event. Yeah, I only played one at the event. Yeah, it should be a second SP Little Knight.
Oh.
Yeah, it actually should be a second SP Little Knight.
But why the SP?
The thing is because it's like in these grind games, you need to have the follow-up banish in this deck, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the free banish part, and it's like you're gonna go into these extra deck monsters in the grind game, and you're gonna take their IP Masquerena, and you need to have more monsters to go into when you start taking their monsters.
Right.
And so like doing SP Little Knight once and then taking their monsters and doing it again on the following turn, it comes up a lot because a part of the reason how this deck wins is like you have the Omni Negate, right? But like it's everything on top of the Skull Guardian that's really gonna win you the game. Because
Gotcha.
like it's only one card it takes, you know what I mean? So they have the engine or the other hand traps, right? Or like maybe some of their cards did resolve on you because they drew broken, right? These are gonna be like the extra pieces on top of the Skull Guardian that are gonna make you win.
Gotcha.
So you need to make sure you have like all the tools. that you need. So one thing I did change was there was an additional monster. It was Drago Stapelia. It's just not needed. If they go Unicorn rip a monster, it's fine because they're probably not going to rip Albion. I swear to you, they're probably going to rip they're going to rip your like Link monsters if they take cards from you. It's absolutely going to be Link monsters because they're just more free. In the case that they do rip this, then fine. Then you know you have SP Little Knight and stuff still, right? So essentially it kind of does its job one and the same, right? Where they wasted an extra, and then they're also level 8 monsters. They allow you to ritual summon with them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason why we play Lubellion is because when we have the resources or the extra discard, what we can do is we can put the Albion back into our extra deck, because initially what you're going to do is banish this and Albiaz from the graveyard or from the field / graveyard to summon Mirror Jade, and this will be your ammo to resolve him.
Yeah.
But if we do have the discard, what will happen is we'll end on these guys, and this and Albaz will go back into your extra deck. So this will be your ammo for Mirror Jade, and then you'll have Albaz. So if you don't use this, you could technically resolve Brain Fusion again for whatever reason. But in the case that you didn't, now you have Mirror Jade and you have a level 8 monster to ritual with, as well as that material you dumped in the graveyard, right? So technically this would be full combo if you open pre-prep, right? Because you dump low, and then you have all the 2 monsters, the Ritual Father, low and grave, and then you just hard Ritual Summon, make Skull Guardian. Which also, by the way, is the best play in the deck. Activate Ritual Spell, Tribute Low, Summon Skull Guardian. It's the best play in the deck. And then next are some Diviner targets. Elder Entity, Intis, Herald of Arclight, and Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel was really good. He always comes up in the Snake Eye matchup. I kind of prioritize going into my extra deck monsters versus the Snake Eye matchup because I want to banish their resources.
Gotcha.
And that's like, you have to cut off the, like, that's how you choke them out, is by banishing, like, maybe Oak and then, or a Flamberge if possible, if you can play around, like, their field spell. Next we have the one Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This card is just like kind of mandatory in a way if you play the Pendulum Graph Dragon, just because the deck has a good Tenpai matchup, but this is just free. If you get this free, yeah, it's super free. And then this card's also really broken. This lets you just chain extra deck monsters and then this is also really important for Branded because like their best monsters are 3000 Sanctifier and Mirror Jade. But this guy's also really broken versus the Snake Eye deck too. Going second. He actually helped me beat my friend Eric. Next we have the side deck. So
let's go.
More important about the side deck, right, is I kind of have the side deck divided up into 2 portions, to be honest with you. So first we have the going second cards, which are going to be the 3 Lightning Storm and 3 Feather Dusters. So as you can see, what's going to happen here is we go second again. We're going to side in 6 more Board Breakers on top of the Droplets or Talents. Some variation of them where we'll kind of typically end on 9 Board Breakers in deck on top of the 3 Prosperity. So you'll always kind of see what. This was the best Board Breaker in my deck, by the way, this weekend. This card
cleaning up boards.
Yeah, this card was crazy. And it was funny because, you know, it's always funny when you do this card, especially because, you know, when you activate cards, people give reactions. When you activate this card, it's like, it's just so funny. It's a sacred chant, if you will. Battle phase, end of battle phase, right? And that's how I beat my friend Cordero. Sorry to put this in the video. But he resolved a full Yubel combo, which doesn't end on a spell and trap negate. So you already know what that means. He evenly matched this whole board, and then we full comboed.
Gotcha.
And he did grind, though. He did grind even after the evenly match, because he kept ending up Phantom U-Bells. And, you know, that deck, I can see that deck being a lot stronger once people optimize the list. But like I said, I literally got lucky. I drew evenly matched. I drew 2, actually, in case he had Solemn Judgment. I drew 2. But, yeah, that card blew him out. And then next we have the going first card. So next we have 3D Barrier. This card's just a staple in my opinion. It's almost a shame that it doesn't say Link. We already all know. And then next 3 Solemn Judgment. This card is probably the most important card in the side deck in my opinion. These are all good cards, but this card's most important because everyone's playing Droplet and just like Talents, and so this card allows you to not let them resolve that card. It doesn't bait your free negate. So if you can set up this with Skull Guardian with like an extra deck monster, you're gonna that like for sure game. Next we have 3 Floodgates, of course.
3 Floodgates.
Well, it would be 3 summon limit. You know what I mean? But these are like almost all blowout cards. If you hadn't noticed, you know what I mean? Like almost every card. Like these are like all blowout cards, and it's like, you know what I mean? I have my side pattern down, you know, so where I'm usually siding in 6 cards depending on what matchup it is. You know what I mean?
I was gonna ask you, what cards are you typically siding out, I guess, to help out people that are playing this deck?
Yeah, absolutely. So these will side in depending on the matchup, right? But what I'll normally side out, depending if I'm going first or second, right? So depending on, like, let's say I'm playing against Snake Eye and I'm going first, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna side out my board breaking spell cards, right? And I know that might sound dumb, but I figured what works out for me is they're gonna hand trap you, 2 to 3 hand traps. They might even side in more hand traps. So if they resolve 2 to 3 hand traps on you and then you flip one of these on them, there's no way for them to play. You know what I mean? Because
their hand's like 2 or 3 cards.
They only have 1 card, 2 cards, and then like you flip a Floodgate on them, there's no way they're playing. You know what I mean? Like, and that happened to someone this weekend. Like I was sitting on, they went double hand trap me. I go Proud Prosperity after they had resolved 2 hand traps. I know, broken. And then reveal anti-spell fragrance. I'm like, you know what? If he has the 3rd hand trap and I can't play, fine. But then that means I flip anti-spell and he has only 1 card to play with. There's no way he's playing.
Right.
You know, so.
Okay.
And then going second, of course, you won't side in these. you'll side out some of these other cards depending on what the deck is, right? So a lot of times I'll side out Diviner because it's a normal summon.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
that's a card come out, and then this is going to come out if you're going second almost
Right,
every time.
right.
Except for against Branded.
Right, because we don't want to get game in
exactly.
public.
And then this card comes out a lot of the time because essentially going second, it's a brick. Because you only want to resolve it, like I said, to set up the trap card. And I know that it sounds win more, but you have to do it to like have the highest ceiling with the deck. And
Gotcha.
This deck, like you want to have the highest ceiling. But yeah, I'll set out Diviner. So if you do Diviner and then those two, that's 6 cards right there.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then sometimes depending on the matchup, right, you also side out Branded Fusion, like versus the Mirror Mat versus Branded. I know I keep bringing it up, but it's because it's a bad matchup. So you need to know how to play against the bad matchup.
Right.
You want to side this card out because playing Fusion monsters against them, especially cards that they can fuse with,
Right, it's not.
obviously not ideal.
Yeah.
So those could also come out and create 6 cards to come out also.
Gotcha. Okay, I appreciate you showing us that.
Yeah,
I know a
thanks,
lot
Brad.
of people
Appreciate
ask
you
for
coming on
that.
the channel. Hopefully you guys like the deck profile. It was really awesome to play this deck at the weekend. Shout out to Brian's channel. Shout out to Emporium TCG, and shout out to Yugioh Materials also.
There we go. I was about to ask you, bro. The mat is beautiful.
Those are the homeboys. They send me these play mats to play with and show you guys and showcase for you guys. And I hope you enjoy them. And you can find them on their website.
Absolutely, yeah, shout outs. Again, congratulations
Thanks,
again,
Brian.
Connor, for getting 11th place, top 16 at the Indianapolis June with Voiceless.
With
You
no
have-
hand traps.
With no hand traps. Emporium TCG, Tito! All right, Connor, we're gonna see you in the next one. And are you gonna go to Nats?
Possibly. If I buy Fiendsmith cards, we'll see.
All right, y'all gotta watch out for Connor, man.
Yeah, I'm coming up right now.
Fiendsmith's crazy.
I'm coming up right now. You'll see me at a lot more events. I started playing Advanced Format 6 months ago.
There we go. Y'all go watch out for him. All right, we'll see you at the next one, Connor.
Peace out.
Peace.
People always talk about my come up. Cause I've been going all every summer. Pussy wanna talk about numbers. But your manager buying swipe show so bummy, ain't nobody out now that can touch us.